All right, good morning, everyone. It's Todd and Erin morning stream on getpartdaily.com. It is a day of the week.
Sorry, I'm trying to install an app at the same time. And
what are you doing?
I'm trying to install an app at the same time, but Zoe keeps installing apps, and it's driving me nuts because I can never get my stuff up. Hi there, good morning.
Good morning. Morning, Cam.
All right, I want to know what kind of animal I'm working for.
Wait a minute. You have to do the morning cam first. They can't see that.
Morning Mountain Cam is brought to you by Brio Technologies. They would be your experts in lighting, sound, and video. You can rent, you can buy. They will set it up. They'll maintain it. It just takes your business to the next level. And you look like you're into this century now. Very exciting.
All right.
All right, so now can I ask what kind of an animal I work with?
No.
Well, I know you. Okay. Right? I've been on a juice fast for 3 days now, and I'm ready to knock over a KFC. And what does this do? Patrick, our beloved boss, the man we love, leaves a plethora of candy. Plus he knows, because he used to be my dot fairy, he was my filthy dot supplier. He knows how I feel about the licorice and the dots. What do I find today? But I've been just fine, right? I've been really calm with the whole juice fast. I've worked okay with that, right?
Yes, you've been fine. There hasn't been any stress in our house.
I haven't been irritable at all, right?
You have been a loving wife and not giving me or anyone in our house any problem.
It's been fine.
I will now go jump off a building. Okay, so the $1 million question. I heard you complaining.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
How far away is the candy is still this far away from you? And I'm not being a guy who's like, yeah, my wife's a little hefty. No, I'm like supportive of you.
No, you were so careful because I must have gone through like a dump truck full of white peppermint kisses at Christmas. And you never said a word. You never said a word.
I didn't.
And I got on the scale the other day going, I probably gained like 3 or 4 pounds. I gained 12 pounds.
Like pulling the
during
ring
Christmas.
on a life raft.
Pretty much, yeah. And
I
came
can
out
say that because I don't mean it.
And I came out and I'm like complaining to Todd. I went, how could this have happened? How could I have? And he goes, and he's so super careful. He's looking down at his computer like completely. He goes, oh, honey, how much did you think you'd gained? And I'm like,
might be water weight.
I'm like, I didn't think I gained anything. And he's going, typing.
I would come around the corner and the kisses, the wrappers and stuff, looked like somebody dumped them on her head and they just settled.
Yeah, they settled all right on my butt. That's where they settled. So that's nice. So I'll be juice fasting for a while, so I'm hoping you get used to it.
Still a question. Mm-hmm. So why are you leaving it here? How mean is that to yourself?
No, he just barely. I just barely came in the studio and found them here.
You go, I hate it, and then you put them right here, this far away from you.
No, they were right here when I came into the studio.
I know. Should we remove them, or do you want to be tortured the entire show?
I enjoy them as a visual taunt. I think they'll be fun. And then I'll fling them against the wall as soon as we're done. Or stomp on them or pour them under hot water or something that will keep me from eating them.
Stories coming up.
I'm really looking forward to this one. Do you want to share it?
Not yet. Saudi Arabia is lifting the ban on music, and their first choice is wrong.
First, movies. And you will never believe the first one that they choose. We've got an incredible story about these adoptive parents who did things that are beyond superhuman to save their kids. How to get out of a freezer when you're 70 years old that's minus 4 degrees. That's not good.
I want to take notes on that. I have to tell you, let me say this. Mm-hmm. I was at 7-Eleven this morning at 5:30. And you ever get a weird sense about someone? Mm-hmm. There was a guy in there who was acting like he's never been to 7-Eleven.
Everyone's been to 7-Eleven.
Perusing the aisles.
Like he'd never seen...
His hands were behind his back like, look at this. Oh,
like he's at a museum going, my God. Oh, really?
Oh, look, highly expensive gum. 2 aspirin for $7. And he just I was making my coffee, and I'm like, what is he doing? Just gave me the feeling.
Maybe he was stoned and he was just trying to decide what he was going to order.
I don't know.
He was confused and his decision-making skills had been impaired.
And then yesterday I was in the movie. Mm-hmm. The movie that was my life. So I had a new bank card that Erin gave me, and I went down to Smith's, and I got all the stuff, and I went, oh my gosh, I don't have the code, the digits, the things, PIN number. But she had sent it to me on my phone, and so this is what happened. I go to my phone. I accidentally delete the text. I said, okay, I'll call her.
You did?
I pushed call. My phone was out of service. Next thing you know, I couldn't find my car keys. And I'm like, I'm in Mission Impossible.
No.
I'm a goner.
It's really more like the Twilight world.
It's
really
more
is.
like I'm an idiot,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But, yeah, that's strange. Anyway, what do we have this morning?
Listen, no, Davis County. We got to do this one first. It's my favorite.
Oh.
Been waiting all night to talk about this. You're going to enjoy it a lot.
All right, here you go. Go ahead.
There you got the
do
story.
I have it?
Yeah,
Why
you
would
wouldn't even let me
have
have it. I
You
was
were
looking
dying
forward to it.
Do this one.
I was, and now I can't, but that's okay. You can, because I love you.
I don't see it. Start telling you.
What do you mean you don't see it?
I don't see it here.
Okay, so I'm on Facebook last night, and I'm scrolling through, and we tend to follow a lot of political figures just because, it's obvious when you do a show, you want to check and see what everybody's doing. And then I noticed that somebody who apparently had really not been thinking this through, and he had a fresh young face and a tie on.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
He posted something, and he used like one of the pre-made backgrounds for it.
You know, on Facebook now you can do like one of the cute things like little clouds and things. He said, the more I study history, the more I think that giving voting rights to others who are not the head of the household has been a grave mistake. So I immediately called over Todd and said, hey, honey, take a look at this. So here's where it gets really good. A couple of other news outlets had noticed this and went, well, look at that. And so they actually called up, and he's a member of the Davis County GOP Commission. So they called up the head of this, by the way, was Casey Fisher. Casey Fisher was the one who came up with the brilliant phrase, the more I study history, the more I think giving voting rights to others not head of household has been a grave mistake.
Casey.
So apparently Davis County GOP chairwoman, now of course my computer's decided to go down, has essentially went on, and she goes, well, a lot, and he'd received several, as you can imagine, somewhat heated comments about, are you kidding? And she said, well, those are just politically motivated and unduly harsh. And she said, there is a strong basis for his statement from the founding fathers.
What? John Hancock?
I'm like, so
Benjamin Franklin?
So essentially you're just digging that hole deeper, aren't you, kitten?
Yeah.
So
his name is Casey?
Casey Fisher.
Casey's not having sex, is he?
Well, you know what? The head of his commission isn't all that great either, and that's a woman.
Backing him up.
And I wanted just to remind you, kitten, that back then you wouldn't have been able to vote either because you would have been a woman and not head of household. So
fathers and stuff.
Good for you.
How do people? They should have people before they push enter. They should have people like that be reviewed. Their comments need to be vetted. And I've been that way. I've been like, well, that's a great idea, and I hit send it, post it.
Yeah, it's not like we all haven't hit stupid things, but once you have done something stupid, it's usually best just to say it right away and not try to go, well,
If he had said I was kidding, it was so far flung, people would have believed it.
Probably so, because that's. But it's just the fact that a woman backed him up on that and said, well, there's strong basis from the founding fathers. That's what I as a female, I'm finding that really?
John Adams.
Okay, moving on.
All right, so the adoptive parents story.
This is an incredible story, and I'm going to try not to cry because this is so incredible. Tyler Knuckles, was arrested Sunday evening on 3 counts of child kidnapping, impersonation of an officer, criminal trespassing, oh, nice smile, kitten, and 11 other charges. He was the biological father of the 3 children he was accused of trying to kidnap. He entered the home of the children's adoptive parents with a firearm and waited for their return. Now, there's no way, no one knows how he could have gotten the address. This was done in secret because he has no parental rights to the children.
Right.
It was a very, very serious severing of any potential rights to the children.
Parenting rights, yeah.
So you know that this was a really serious.
So wait a minute, he's in the house with the kids?
No, he was waiting for them to come home.
Okay, and he's got his gun, okay.
The adoptive father could tell something was wrong. He probably noticed a break-in or something. So he grabbed a shotgun, he went in, and he was stopped by Knuckles, who told the father he was a police officer and that he was under arrest. The father went out the back door after a scuffle. Knuckles followed, and they got into another scuffle by the vehicle, unfortunately, where the 3 kids were, and the mom, the adoptive mom. Knuckles pointed the pistol at the father and then got into the vehicle with the kids. Now, the father told him he will have to shoot him if he wanted the keys.
Right.
And so Knuckles was getting out of the car apparently to do that, And the father was pretty smart. He threw the keys over the neighbor's fence.
Yep.
Like, how you going to go find him?
Yeah.
This guy actually broke down the fence. So I'm wondering what he was on to get to find the keys. The neighbor noticed him coming into their yard with a gun and thank heavens called police.
Right.
And barricaded themselves inside. He unfortunately found the keys. He got into the vehicle. Now, the mom was fighting with him like crazy because there's your 3 kids in the back.
Right.
And she got shoved out of the door of the vehicle.
Now the kids are in there alone.
She was dragged 24 yards down the driveway.
Okay.
She wouldn't let go of the car and let this psycho take their kids. And fortunately, he hit a tree as he was leaving the driveway, so the mom was able to get the oldest child out of the car, and she started fighting with this adult male holding a gun to try to keep away from her other 2 children. And I guess two neighbors managed to get the other 2 kids out of the car. And while this little woman is fighting with this young guy with a gun. When her kids were safe, she stopped fighting, and he got away, but he was, of course, stopped quickly by police.
Nice job.
But the story is scary and horrifying, and it's not even that so much to me. It's just the intensity of a father who says, "Go ahead and shoot me. I'm not going to let you take my children," and a mother who would rather be dragged down a driveway. So anyway, kids are okay. Sorry, I'm crying.
Man, we got to cry in the first 10 minutes of the show.
See, you win this one. But it was just such an incredible story to me that you could be that fierce. And there's this little tiny woman holding onto a car. Yeah. So anyway, the important thing is the kids are safe. This lunatic is locked up. And great mugshot. What were you smiling for? Ugh. Okay. So everything turned out okay. So sorry I got all intense first. But it was such a story, and I had like 3 friends call me and go, "Did you hear it?" And we're all bawling on the phone together. And Todd, of course, is used to this. So we went, "Okay, go ahead and cry." But...
So we've been talking a lot about being fat in our house, and what we're going to do about it. Gosh darn it! And Erin is drinking water.
Juice fast.
I still don't understand why you have the candy so close to you, because you're on a juice fast.
I can't eat in front of the camera. That would be disgusting, even
You've
for me.
done it before with bacon.
That's different. Everyone would eat bacon in front of the camera.
So Erin is drinking juice.
Juice cleanse.
And you're a little tense about it. But Zoe, 6 years old, she came up with a perfect plan.
It was delightful.
And let's watch.
Today.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking my hideous, well, it's not hideous, it's actually pretty good, but I'm doing a juice cleanse.
A juice cleanse. And how does that work?
You drink nothing but juice, and then basically by the 3rd day you're ready to knock over a KFC as an armed robbery just to eat something solid.
Very nice. Well, your daughter has come up with something incredibly awesome for you, which is your new diet plan. Are you ready?
I'm hoping the sharp part of mine
Are you ready?
Bad plan.
All right. So you got the pointer, okay? So we're now going to show you the plan.
Okay, show me, Zozo.
Where does she start?
That looks like veggies, okay.
Okay. So wait a minute. What happens here? What's going in?
Kiss.
Oh.
What kind of kiss?
This is a tragic cautionary tale from Christmas, isn't it?
What kind of kiss?
Those are peppermint white chocolate kisses, aren't they, Zoe? Mommy's kryptonite, yeah.
So there's an X over it. So what does that mean?
That means that they're not healthy.
Okay. What is the next one?
Oh, I've noticed my butt's got considerably bigger in
It
this.
really has.
That's your belly.
Oh, that's my belly.
Okay.
My belly's gotten quite a bit bigger, okay.
Chocolate bar.
No chocolate
I
bars?
don't like chocolate bars.
Okay. What's this one?
Kiss.
More kisses?
Look, my stomach seems to be getting bigger.
And lower,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. What's this up here?
That's not healthy food.
So like the chocolate bar and the kisses.
What's that?
Chocolate bar kiss.
What's that?
Kiss.
What's that? Oh, no having it. Okay. What's this down here?
Healthy food that she's eating.
Okay.
Oh, look, my stomach's smaller.
Oh, look.
And I look much happier.
Is it your butt or your stomach? Right?
Evil
Right?
Zoe laugh.
All right, now let's move over here for a second. What's that up there? What's that up there?
Healthy food.
Healthy food. What's that right there, though?
Is that like a radish or something?
It's the same as that beets.
Oh, beets, of course.
And the mystery part of the diet is this thing.
What is that, Zozo?
What is it? We don't know.
It might just pop up eventually, huh?
Just remember, though, if you eat this, you won't get that. Good luck, Mom.
Words of wisdom from my Zoe.
That's you.
I'm telling you what, we can take that. We call it the 6-year-old diet. We print it up. We go on TV. We sell it. We'd be millionaires because people do it stupid ways anyway, and so it'd be called the beat diet, the beat no candy diet, beat the candy diet, beat candy something, and then we publish it, and we go on and we sell it for $24.99, and we make $1 billion. Done. It's the bright side of us getting heavy.
You know, it actually makes more sense
Silver
than
lining.
90% of the diets that I've seen, to be
Oh, they're all
completely
stupid,
honest
yeah.
with you, so why not?
The cabbage diet, because who doesn't want gas?
Yeah, the cruciferous vegetable diet.
The what?
Cruciferous
I can't even
vegetable diet.
spell that.
Yeah, but it makes you so. No one will ever notice that you're overweight because you will be so gassy, no one will get near you. So it's.
Oh, right.
It works, really.
Everyone will
I don't
be
know if you
turning
ever
away.
I don't know if you ever actually lose any weight, but you float into fair biscuits, no one's coming near you again.
See?
So it works,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
Now tell this story because this is cool. This
It
is
is
a
kind of
mystery.
cool. Idaho family sleeping one night, and all of a sudden, boom, they hear a noise in their house. They're thinking someone's trying to break in. Something's going on.
That's scary.
Mom and Dad jump up, and they're starting to run around, check on the kids. Everything's fine. They're running around. They're like, what the heck was that? And then Dad went and opened the door to the garage and noticed the floor had collapsed. The floor had collapsed.
That's how do you get a sinkhole in Idaho? Are those common?
Well,
Wow.
a lot of people, and maybe you don't know this, but you can very easily dig out another room and put it underneath your garage and then pour cement over it and be totally safe.
Now is that like the bomb shelter thing? Because they did that back in the 50s.
It
a lot,
depends
right?
on. It depends on. Usually, don't want to put a bomb shelter in a structure because it'll fall down on top of it.
That makes it a problem.
And it turns it into a coffin. No, they actually opened it up. They actually opened it up and they found a room with shelves and stuff like that. So
That's
that's
so
pretty
interesting.
cool. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Don't
You guys
scream.
are so immature.
What we do in our house is whenever in the houses that we've owned and we're remodeling and stuff, we always write on the walls before we cover them up, right? And we say, oh, Todd and Erin, we did radio in Salt Lake City, wrote some dates, and throw a $1 bill in there with the right date on it, and then we seal it up, hoping that one day they will do it as well and undo it and go, oh, some idiots lived here.
Well, that's a given, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I still think it's a mystery, though, because they said that the room doesn't appear on any of the city or the county records. And there's a bunch of things that are in shelves. They had children's toys and some women's things and a letter. And it's like they didn't say what was in the letter. That's what I want to know.
What's wrong with
Was
these
it a
people?
letter that said, help me, don't bury me in the basement or something? I mean, I want to know what was in it.
Right.
I just think that's interesting.
All right.
All right. Well,
Should we mention the church?
oh, this is, yeah. It looks like
This is a spoiler.
Well-
so because they're not supposed to announce it till 9.
they're giving a message today at 9 a.m.
9
This is
a.m.
not surprising. Everyone's
Right.
reporting it, but it's on a worldwide broadcast. It looks like 93-year-old Russell M. Nelson is expected to be the next leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, replacing President Monson, who passed away at the age of 90.
Right.
I
That's
just-
cool. No, that's cool.
I know what an incredible honor this is, and I'm sure
kidding.
that President Nelson's going to do a great job. But I'm just thinking, at 93, you wouldn't really give this guy a rest, really? You wouldn't let him just kind of relax and take it easy?
He's not done yet.
Well, and I'm sure he thinks that. And he must have amazing energy, but it's just he's 93.
Well, he's ready to play.
Well, it's congratulations.
Congratulations.
It's an honor,
And to
I'm sure
everyone.
he'll be magnificent. So.
To everyone, congratulations. Let's get some information.
We'll go to Daisy. She's in the Gephardt Daily Newsroom. She is brought to you by Always Black Friday. Always Black Friday located up in Ogden, where it's 30 to 75% off every single day. Amazing stuff. Also by the Denali Performance Clinic. If you want to get rid of your migraines, they've got a great new webinar going on right now that can tell you how to do it without opioids. Same thing with all your joint injuries. You can get your knee and your shoulder back in order. And All Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air. If you want to get something to take care of your winter problems and save a lot of money on your energy bills, this would be the place to go to, allutahplumbing.com. Daisy, my dear, what's going on today?
Good morning, everyone. Here's what's making news on Tuesday, January 16th on GephartDaily.com. One driver was killed and a second critically injured in a crash Monday on U.S. Route 189. The accident happened around 5:15 p.m. when the Chevy Trailblazer drifted across the center line and hit a Toyota Camry head-on near Deer Creek Reservoir. The driver of the Camry died at the scene, while the driver of the Trailblazer was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The UHP has yet to determine why the Trailblazer crossed into oncoming traffic. Their investigation is continuing. Unified firefighters are trying to find the owner of a house in Kearns, which was heavily damaged by fire Monday night. UFA Battalion Chief Scott McBride said neighbors called dispatch about 9:30 p.m. with reports of smoke and flames pouring from the home. Firefighters entered the home and went room to room before realizing no one was inside. Damage to the home was called significant, and crews said it looked as though there was also some damage from a previous fire. Investigators are going over the scene, trying to determine how the blaze started. The owner of the home has yet to be located. And searchers on horseback and ATVs continue to scour a remote area of Juab County, looking for 2 teenagers who disappeared in late December. Last week, searchers found a Jeep that Breezy Otterson and Riley Powell had been using when they were last seen December 30th. They have not been heard from since. The Jeep was found in a desolate area north of Cherry Creek Reservoir, but searchers have found no sign of the missing teens. Anyone with information on their whereabouts is asked to call 911. And time now for your Wasatch Front forecast, brought to you by our wild and woolly sponsors at Brio Technologies, Utah's top audio-visual specialists. The warm streak we're in is going to last a while longer, and it's going to get a little warmer. Expect highs in the low 50s later this week. Overnight lows will hang in the 30s. Our next chance of decent snowfall won't be until the weekend, when a storm front moves through on Saturday. That's it for now. For more news and weather 24/7, go to GephartDaily.com. Todd and Erin, back to you.
All right, thank you, Daisy. Before we talk about this, let's go to the Candy Cam, shall we? The Candy Cam of Action. This is brought to you by Dentist Smith. If you have rotten teeth, he wants you to see him. All right, there you go, the Candy Cam. So anyway.
Dr. Morgan Smith actually is our dentist. He's a wonderful man.
Awesome. All right, because I'm a baby.
No, you just have teeth made of butter, so you're in there all the time.
And he gives me drugs. All right, so, in a good way. All Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air, if you want something done right, these are the people you call. Right now, $2,000 off your furnace and AC package. They also throw in an air scrubber, because who doesn't want to chew air? And you basically be saving $3,200, which pays for the furnace. Want more information? Just go to allutahplumbing.com.
Okay, and of course, Tell Me Something Good. It's sponsored by Always Black Friday, which is, of course, the store I told you about up in Ogden, where it's 30 to 75% off every single day. Amazing stuff. Okay, so get this. We've been talking a lot about adoption today, but this is a beautiful story. Marilyn Myers was put up for adoption right after she was born. During high school, her adoptive mother told her that her birth mom's last name was Osborne, and she spent decades searching for her biological family.
Okay.
No luck. It's one of the reasons that I think that open adoption, if you can do it, is really important for both the child and the adopted.
If it's the right situation.
Yeah, and the birth mom, just because then they both know. There's no secrets. It's not
Right.
like it was a... But she eventually started a family of her own, and by the time she was in her 70s, she moved into Oaks of Rockwood, which is a retirement community in Michigan. Well, in 2017, she heard that the house behind hers had been sold to a new owner who had moved to Michigan from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when she heard the name of the new neighbor was Philip Osborne, she was joking with her friend about the possibility, that must be my long-lost brother. I bet that's what it is.
And she's 70, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems somewhat unlikely, but the neighbor had lived his entire life without knowing that of a sibling who had been adopted at birth, and as fate would have it, after they straightened it out and had a couple of long conversations, they found out that she was indeed his long-lost adopted sister. So they actually ended up moving together right next to each other after 70 years of being separated.
And still fighting about the fence.
Probably so.
Probably so.
Brother and sister doesn't matter. It's always the fence.
Those are my grapes. No, they're not. Yes, they are. Apple.
Now, this is kind of cool. It's a Google app.
And I've been seeing this on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And you see a picture of the person, that you know them, and you go, oh, that's really cool. And next to them, a classic art oil painting like from hundreds of years ago, and they do look alike.
Well, it's the top downloaded iPhone app over the weekend, and this makes me very sad because
Why?
you scroll and you basically go till you see, is your portrait in a museum? And then you tap Get Started, and it goes through the process. Well, I actually tapped Get Started to see which one I was, if they could match me up to anybody, and my phone has apparently
What's it?
exploded. It's been like that for like an hour now. So I've
Sure
killed
I'm
my.
not putting up your phone
I've
number.
exploded my app. So that's basically all I have. So apparently that's what I look like.
You're a white rabbit in a snowstorm.
Pretty much that's the one
so
I
nice.
represent, I guess.
That's because your daughter likes your phone and talks to Siri for 30 minutes at a time. So you can do this. What's it called again?
Siri's been my best friend. I'm not going to lie to you. She's kept her busy. It's the Google Arts and Culture app, and then once you get in there, you just scroll down, and then you see, is your portrait in a museum? Then you tap Get Started. And ideally, you won't be like me and have apparently killed your app trying to find something that matches.
The ones, you know, because you know the ones like Instagram where you put the bunny ears on and stuff like that. This is pretty cool. This is actually like one lady.
Well, yeah, just to match it up. It's amazing.
The head was turned the same way with this guy I saw last night.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's very cool. All right, coming up, another person takes a stand on photoshopping models, and you won't believe who it is.
I know, I'm so glad.
It's coming up next.
The Todd and Erin Morning Stream is brought to you by UtahCreditApproval.com. Bad things happen to good people, but you can get your credit back on track and get a reliable automobile by giving them a call. 801-404-7201. And also by Columbus Travel with spectacular deals on cruises and all-inclusive vacations. Go to ColumbusVacations.com. And all Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air, where they have a winter special that they can check out your furnace and make sure that it's operating efficiently, saving you hundreds of dollars in energy bills. Just go to allutahplumbing.com. Did you know that you can catch the Todd and Erin Morning Stream on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, and GephartDaily.com any time of the day or night?
At Always Black Friday, we love a good deal. We buy new and used products at a discount so we can pass on the savings to you. And we're Gephardt approved. From electronics to clothing to appliances. If you want it, we have it at discount prices. Visit our eBay store or come to our warehouse at 865 West 12th Street in Ogden. Always Black Friday, where you can find Black Friday deals all year round.
Happy Black Friday!
Oh my gosh, that makes us look crazy. Like we're crazy people.
I'm more worried about that one mouth that was gargling either coffee or Diet Coke, because that seemed really troubling.
It's like the opening to True Blood. Right?
You're right.
All right, CVS has agreed.
Huge chain of health and beauty stores.
And they have decided, you've been in them, it's decided they will no longer use photoshopping on their models. And the first
That's so cool.
And the first thing that came to mind is, why does CVS have models and I've never seen them before? Like, look, it's like this. Salve.
There's
Get some salve.
There's different models for stuff that they use, but the point is that most of their stuff is third-party generated, and what they're saying is that we don't want you to do any more photoshopping. It has to be like a real person.
Support hose. And my favorite, trusses.
That's the important one. That's the important one because you got to make sure that they're really not photoshopping the gut in, because you want to know that trust did its job.
That's what their store is all about. It's like their canes they sell aren't temporary. They're real canes. Like you go to Smith's or something in the pharmacy and they're collapsible and they're $4 and you can adjust them and stuff, and it's part-time cane. These are permanent.
I've never heard the phrase part-time cane before.
And they have like poly grip for your dentures in a 50-gallon drum with a pump applicator. I mean, it's an old store. And yet they sell beer and milk in the back corner. You know what I'm talking about? Just like Walgreens. It's the weirdest thing. You go in for salve.
They're doing all the essentials.
You have a rash.
Salve and beer.
And then you get some beer, which is probably how you got the... All right. So anyway, good for them. Good for them not using the Photoshop. Mm-hmm. Because normal women don't look like that.
I am so bummed about this. Lead singer of the Cranberries. You got the story.
Passed away.
I know, and I love her.
And the Cranberries are known for what?
She's got the crazy voice, and she's just so much fun. I adore her. I don't have the story, sweetie. You do, but no, she's just really funny, and she was interesting, and they were really quirky. They were like Bjork, because they're all like those.
She was kind of hot too.
She wasn't she?
Hot.
It's like all the crazy Scandinavian music where they just had like, she was just fun and sort of off key and like interesting.
Right.
But she passed away very early.
That's very sad.
I know, I'm sad too.
We're going to skip the next story. We're going to go right to the poor 70-year-old who was locked in a freezer at 0.4 degrees.
Okay.
And you have the story right in front of you.
Alrighty. This is pretty exciting, though. I respect this man for his intelligence.
Yes.
British butcher found himself locked inside his walk-in freezer. He escaped his predicament.
It's a nightmare.
Don't you think we should get Daisy? Because I want her to explain what black pudding is.
Okay.
Because apparently, Chris McCabe, 70 years old, was retrieving an item from the walk-in freezer at his Devon butcher shop. Wind blew the door shut.
Nice.
Okay.
Get your steps in.
Yep, get my steps in.
And he found the emergency door release inside the button, which was set to a temperature of 0.4 degrees, had frozen solid.
Guy's locked in a freezer.
No one could hear him banging. He was locked in his own freezer, and the emergency escape button had frozen because it's like 4 below 0 in there.
In
And
England? Is
Yes.
this?
Okay. So he's locked in his own freezer. So he found a frozen black pudding, and he started bashing repeatedly.
It's in a tube.
What is a
Wait. Let's look.
Okay.
Watch this.
I picked
It's
up
a
the
little
black pudding and I used it like one of those battering rams.
Oh, there.
That guy knows
Look
how
at
to.
that thing.
He knows how to use a sausage.
Okay, now I could be wrong, but that doesn't look like a.
It's like a little battering ram.
Sort of.
Explain. That doesn't look like a pudding to me. What exactly is a black
I
pudding?
can explain.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Only to a point, because I have never eaten black pudding or haggis because they're gross.
I've eaten haggis and it wasn't good.
So are you ready? Are you ready to be grossed out?
Yes, of
It's
course.
quite disgusting.
Well, we have to know now.
Well, a black pudding, I'm not totally sure of all the ingredients, but basically what molds it together
Is
blood.
Blood pudding. It's like huge in like the South
Yeah,
here and stuff.
And obviously that's a big old sausage right there. You wouldn't get that whole thing on your plate. What happens is that they slice it, so it's like you know how you have that weird cranberry sauce here in a can.
Yeah.
that you have a slice.
Be like
of?
that.
It's like that. But I've never eaten it because it's disgusting.
Well, why do they call it pudding then?
Maybe
That doesn't
maybe
look
so
like
it's a
pudding.
bit more appealing.
But
No, it's not anywhere as bad as you think.
Look at it work.
I look at that.
Must have a lot of iron in it.
I feel like I want to keep a black, but that's frozen, right?
Yeah.
I guess it works as a blunt object, and that's helpful.
That's
I feel like I want to keep a black pudding in my car or even in my pocket so I can beat someone if they come up to me.
Yeah, if your car light goes off and lands in a canal and the water's coming in, you can bash the window out with your black pudding.
Absolutely, and then eat it right before you die.
Because then you'll
Kinda
want to.
dark.
So it'll all work out. That's good.
Wow. Well, since you're here, I want to talk about this story too. It's a woman who's trying to bring to the U.S. a bunch of UK favorites. Now, the English store that you've been going to across from Trolley Square has closed.
Yes, it's so sad.
They're very sad. Why did they close? Everyone loved them. They were on forever.
Apparently they closed because the building was bought. But somebody on the feed, it might have been Marianne, I can't remember, said Pirate O's in Draper was a good place.
For English stuff.
For English stuff.
Oh, good.
So
we'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, we'll have to go check that out.
Tracy's Sticky Toffee Pudding Company. Now, let me just review.
We love sticky toffee pudding in here.
So before we had talked about another treat called Spotted Dick, and that's a sponge cake with raisins in it.
That took a long time to get through that.
We
segment.
loved that dick, didn't we?
Yeah. So the sticky toffee pudding, what's that? Ladies?
Don't look at
Ladies?
me.
We're quaking. What, like the difference between sticky toffee pudding
Tell
and
me about,
spotted
because you
dick?
made that face about sticky toffee pudding.
So good.
Tell us.
Is it?
Well, if you got a spotted dick...
How do I work with these people?
I'm a bit punchy this morning. There's a picture of a
It's
spotted
actual,
dick.
and Heinz makes it.
Right.
I'm sorry, but this is so much better than blood pudding that I okay, go on.
So this would be the scientific explanation.
Okay, for the dick, yes.
You get your dick.
Working with children.
Science-based. If you plucked out each raisin and then poured toffee over it,
Toffee.
it would no longer be a spotted dick and it would now be a sticky toffee pudding. And then,
Well-
you get your cream.
I hate raisins, so this is so far working great for me. So it's dick free of raisins. That's perfect. Okay, and then you put toffee over it.
Yeah.
Well, the toffee stuff is at Whole Foods now.
That sounds delicious.
She's selling like $4 million a year.
Get out.
No, because it's not spotted dick. It's actually toffee stuff, which is better.
Yeah.
This teaches a lot about branding and consumerism, doesn't it? Yes.
I'm just thinking what celebrity you would use to endorse said desserts.
The dick or the...
Yeah, both. Liam. No, never mind.
There's so many things happening in my head that I can't say.
Let's just ignore them all, shall we? All right, thanks so much.
Off I go.
Was that really necessary?
I wanted to find out. I saw the story. I have an inquiring mind. I want to know. All right, we should talk about, what are we going to do? Oh, coming up next, a Hollywood singer, a singer has come up with a secret plan that's going on right now in the dark web or something.
Also, he's crazy, apparently.
Let's find out how, and that's coming up next.
The Todd and Erin Morning Stream is brought to you by Fink & McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. If you go to fink-mcgregor.com, you'll find out that you can get a mortgage with a credit score as low as 600. Fink & McGregor, also by the Vein Clinic. If you go to theveinclinic.com, you can schedule an appointment and find out some amazing options for pain-free removal of varicose veins and spider veins. Your legs can look great again with the Vein Clinic. And also by Black Diamond Experts. They're experts in electric, plumbing, heating, and air. And they also have a brand new store up in Ogden now. If you'd like to reach them, you can go to blackdiamondexperts.com. So Jeff, you do mortgages, right?
I do.
How do you do?
Well, you go to our website, 4minutemortgage.com, fill out the application. We'll call you within 1 business day. The whole thing takes about a month, start to finish.
We went to the bank.
They got really personal.
I went through all of our personal records and all of our finances.
And then there was that little deal about the $8,000 closing costs.
Took like 4 months.
That's funny. That's funny.
Welcome to the Todd and Erin Morning Stream at GetBarDaily.com.
Hollywood Connection brought to you by Connect Heating and Care, Heating and Air. Although they will take care of it. They can do like these schedules, maintenance schedules for all your commercial properties, so you don't have to worry about it.
If you're a manager of a large building, they can do it.
UtahHeatingandCooling.com. Okay, Moby. Now, of course, electronica. He plays some great stuff. He was featured in The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. His music through the soundtrack.
Little bald
very
guy.
Very dreamy, very cool.
There he is.
That's Moby.
He looks normal.
He's crazy.
Why?
He said in an interview this month that active and former CIA agents told him President Donald Trump is a Russian agent. He said, and I quote, "Years of touring and spending time in D.C. and New York, I've managed to make a few friends in the intelligence community. And about a year ago, we were having dinner, and they were really concerned. They were like, this is the Manchurian candidate. Like, Russian President Vladimir Putin has a Russian agent as the President of the United States." So they passed on some information to me, and they said, look, you have more of a social media following than any of us do.
Right.
Can you please post some of these things?
And
Because that's what active CIA agents do.
They do.
Is they try to release state secrets through the social media.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I'm thinking?
He said it's really disturbing, and it's going to get a lot darker, like the depths of the Trump family and business and their involvement with organized crime and terrorism, Russian oligarchs. It's really dark, so I guess we should all fasten our seatbelts and hold on.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Moby has tried and attempted to do crowd surfing many times by jumping from the stage, and everyone moved out of the way. A bunch of times. Hence the head trauma. Just stick to music. Everyone just stick to what you do.
That an active CIA agent passed on the information because he knew I had an active social media following. He wanted me to just get that out, that President Trump is actually a Russian agent. That's how they do it.
Maisie Williams.
Maisie Williams. Oh, I love her so much. I can hardly wait for Early Man to come out.
Let me see her.
Maisie, isn't she precious?
Hi there.
Now, she started as the sweet, adorable little girl in Game of Thrones who was then just turned into a wild and bitter creature because of her father being beheaded and everything went nuts.
Yeah,
And
that'll do it.
Well, she has a kill list as Ayra Stark. Ayra Stark, and it's pretty interesting.
No, stop.
She's
What's a kill list?
She's this little tiny girl on the show,
Yeah.
and she's now an assassin, and she has a kill list, and whoever she goes after, she's really successful.
On the show.
She took out Walder Frey and nearly the entire Frey clan all by herself on Game of Thrones. She's good. But if you look at her, she's a petite flower. She's a little tiny girl. Well,
Who
she's
kills people.
Yeah, she's an early man, which is done by the same producers who did all of our favorite stuff, all of our favorite animation from England, like Chicken Run. Remember? Mr. and Mrs. Tweedy.
I did. Chicken pies.
And she was with Tom Hiddleston, who also plays in Early Man. They were on a couple of the different night shows.
So why is this big news? Because people know.
Because she showed up on the Graham Norton show with Tom Hanks, because he was there to talk about The Post, which is his new movie with Meryl Streep.
Right.
And I'm not sure how they got onto the subject, but apparently he had pilfered all the really good stuff off the tray in the green room. And she'd gone back there hoping for some snacks.
And there's nothing.
He'd finished all the little ornamental, tiny cheesecakes and all the really glorious treats.
Right.
She was ticked. And so Graham Norton asked her who was on the kill list for this year's season of Game of Thrones, and she went, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is a goner.
And the blood drained from his face because he went, I watch your show, and I tend to know how successful you are. She goes, I'm not saying anything else. But she wouldn't look at him for the rest of the show. It was like you took the cheesecakes, the tiny ornamental cheesecakes, and you were dead to me.
I don't think I'd want to be on her kill list.
No.
Daisy's got some great information, and that is coming up, brought to you by...
Right now, it's brought to you by Fink and McGregor. Mortgages made simple. Just go to fink-mcgregor.com. You can get a mortgage with a credit score as low as 600. They will show you how. And to liberate a man, you can free yourself from adult addiction for good. You can reclaim your family, your life, and your self-respect. Go to liberateaman.com. And also by Black Diamond Experts. They are experts in electric, plumbing, heating, and air with 24-hour service. If you've got an emergency, they will come. BlackDiamondExpert.com. Daisy, my dear, what's going on today?
Thanks, Todd and Erin. Here's what's making national and world news headlines Tuesday, January 16th on Gebhardt Daily. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is expected to announce its new leadership at 9 a.m. The church said President Russell M. Nelson will address members and the public. Throughout church history, the most senior apostle has become the next president, which would be President Nelson, who's 93 years old. The address and the subsequent press conference will be shared on all church broadcast, internet, and social media channels in 29 languages. 13 children have been rescued from a home in Southern California where police say they had been shackled to beds and malnourished by their parents. 57-year-old David Allen Turpin and his 49-year-old wife, Louise Anna Turpin, were taken into custody and now face torture and child endangerment charges. Police say a 17-year-old girl had managed to escape the home and contacted police. The parents are now being held on a $9 million bond. North Korea will send an orchestra of 140 members to accompany its Olympic delegation to the South Korean Winter Olympic Games next month. The overture is part of an agreement between South and North Korean officials to send a North Korean cultural troupe to the Games. The North Korean orchestra will perform in Seoul as well as on the site of the Olympic Games. And a speeding car went airborne on Sunday, crashing into a second-floor dental office in Orange County after hitting a median on the street. The Santa Ana crash left the driver of the car dangling from the bottom of the vehicle until he could be rescued. Police say the driver admitted to using drugs prior to the crash, which sent him and a passenger to the hospital with minor injuries. He's now being charged with DUI. And time now for a look at the Wasatch Front weather, brought to you by our Fancy Dan sponsors at Brio Technologies, home to Utah's top audiovisual specialists. The warm weather that's blanketed Utah lately is going to get a bit warmer. The forecast for the next few days actually sees temperatures reach the lower 50s before a storm blows into the state over the weekend. The chance of precipitation till then is just about 0%. That's it for now. For more news from across the nation and around the world, go to GebhardtDaily.com. Todd and Erin, back to you.
Thank you, my dear Daisy. Okay, Black Diamond Experts. The reason they're called experts is kind of obvious. It's because they do electric, plumbing, heating, and air. Essentially anything in your building or house that needs help, they're the ones who can do it. They can do installation, they can do repair, they can do maintenance, they do all that stuff. They do a lot of commercial work because they basically just take care of all the hassles for you, so you don't even have to think about it. But one of the nice things for homeowners is that you may not be aware of this, but these are the people that will not essentially screw you over. You start keeping a list of people you know you can trust and you can count on, and one of the things I like best about them is that when they give you a bid, that's exactly what you pay. There's no sneaky last-minute charges or no surprise widget fees that you weren't expecting, and that's one of the reasons that when they come back, you know what you can count on, and they'll get it fixed to your satisfaction. Another nice thing is they also do 24/7 emergency service. It's kind of ironic because we called another plumbing company that said they did emergency service, and they said, no, I don't feel like coming out and it would cost you $250, so why don't you call Black Diamond instead? So we did. So apparently even competing plumbing companies will tell you to call Black Diamond. So there you go. What more can you ask for? BlackDiamondExpert.com.
All right, so this artist is...
this is such a cool story.
It happened in Berlin. He's 70 years old.
Well, you know, they're having a really big resurgence right now of pro-Hitler, pro-Nazi sentiment. And that's rough, especially for a country that's acutely aware of their past. And you know, we have a lot of German friends who are very, very acutely aware of their past and how painful it is for most of the country. So when they see these pro-Nazi groups coming up again, it just kills them.
So this
and
guy,
it's really difficult.
This guy saw this graffiti all over the place in his neighborhood and stuff, swastikas everywhere. And so he thought, as opposed to painting them over, you've seen how they do it here, that he would change it because he ran an art class for kids.
Yeah, Ivo Amari. So he's a German artist, and he said, let's do this instead. So they decided to launch the Paint Back initiative to encourage people to take action against the ugly vandalism. So his team has transformed over 250 swastikas into works of art, which were all done with the permission of the property owner.
That's cool.
Which I think is gorgeous because a lot of these were perhaps on stores of immigrants owned, you know, owned by immigrants or families that might have been Jewish. And so instead of trying to spray paint over it, they decided instead to make it something beautiful.
That's great.
And I absolutely love this initiative. So they've inspired dozens of other artists, and now they're doing it all over the place in Hamburg, Bremen, over in the Black Forest area. And it's really cool. He said it's important to spur young people into action and to encourage them to take responsibility. So they're not just walking past a symbol of hate, but they're instead turning it into something beautiful. And I absolutely love the concept of that there's a vision here that you can actually transform hate back into love. If you think about it, it's the broader concept.
We have a video coming up, and it is about a warden...
like a boss.
...trying to free a full-size elk from a fence of wire.
A terrified elk who's struggling wildly.
Never guess how he did it, but that's coming up.
It's amazing. The Todd and Erin Morning Stream is brought to you by Fink & McGregor. If you go to fink-mcgregor.com, there's a short 4-minute quiz, and at the end of it, you can find a whole array of mortgage options, and someone will call you back from Fink & McGregor within the next business day. Also by Utah Credit Approval. Go to utahcreditapproval.com because they know that bad things happen to good people, but that shouldn't stop you from repairing your credit and getting a reliable automobile at utahcreditapproval.com. And also all Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air. John has 24/7 service because he knows that emergencies can happen any time of the day or night. And right now they have a $69 special to check out all your heating systems to make sure they're working well. Just go to allutahplumbing.com.
At All Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air, we have the best service and the best warranties. Check us out at allutahplumbing.com.
Oh, this is so cool. You know, we were just talking about the German artist who is inspiring all these young artists to cover up Nazi-based graffiti all over Germany with like beautiful images.
Yeah.
Marianne this makes me so sad. She said
on
that
Facebook.
Yeah, that someone painted a swastika on our sidewalk. She says, I need to go and paint over it. So she says, at least I have an idea now. And she said, love trumps hate. I like that.
This is happening so much that stores are actually catching on and saving old people. And I think that's amazing because these grandmothers and grandfathers are getting calls by scammers and they're being told that, hey, you owed $6,000.
Yeah, this is the most vulnerable population to this kind of scam, and of course they're getting nailed. So they're actually starting to train cashiers and things to take a look for this because this obviously is wrong. And I think anyone would have sensed this one was wrong. An 88-year-old lady, very sweet, went to her local supermarket and she asked for a $1,200 iTunes gift card. Now, I think the staff went immediately.
You must really like music.
Something screwed up here. So they basically had a chat with her, and they said, tell me kind of what happened, why you need a $1,200 iTunes gift card. And she said, well, I got a call from a friend in Africa. He's a friend of mine now, I know, because he's a great guy, informing me that I had $6,000 of an unclaimed pension. And the scammer had asked the woman to provide her bank account details, which she did, and then told her she needed to provide them with an iTunes gift card with $1,200 loaded onto it for their time and trouble of finding her lost money and getting it all transferred to her bank account. Yeah. So it's not enough that they've actually tried to rip off her bank account. They wanted extra. So fortunately, they were able to freeze the bank accounts and the cards canceled as a precaution. But she said that they're getting these calls from all over the country, and it primarily preys on the elderly. And what they're saying is that they're, I guess, they're soothed into believing them because they're not specifically asking for cash.
Well, and the fact
they're
that
asking for a gift card.
They want to talk to somebody. They're not talking to anybody, and maybe they live alone, and on and on. And then, of course, the whole digital age kind of passed everybody by. Some of them.
Yeah.
And so someone's looking out for your nana, which I think is really cool.
$1,200 gift. I'm just relieved that that's what she asked for, because that really would be a screaming red flag.
Yeah.
Do you have a $1,200 iTunes gift card?
This is very exciting. Saudi Arabia has lifted the ban on movies.
35-year ban.
So there was no movies.
No cinema at all.
And they thought, you know what? Gosh darn it. Let's embrace Hollywood.
Well, they're doing some progressive new things. Women are being allowed to drive now in Saudi Arabia, which they were not before. And now, of course, they've decided to lift the ban on cinema. And here's the very first movie they screened.
Oh, this is...
Think of all of the movies that have come out in the last 35 years.
I know.
I mean, incredible.
Even the classics. Even the Gone with the Wind.
I mean, powerful things like Schindler's List or the Star Wars series or, all this cool stuff.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. I mean, amazing stuff. Here's what they decided to pick up.
Watch this.
As a screening.
The Emoji Movie?
The Emoji Movie.
And this died in the theaters.
They screened the Emoji Movie, which has been listed as the top 5 worst movies
of the year
of 2017. It's already been nominated for possibly every category of Razzie Awards. Why? And that's the one that they picked for their first movie to screen in Saudi Arabia after a 35-year ban.
And you know what they're thinking?
The Emoji Movie.
They're thinking, we didn't miss anything.
Yeah. At this point, maybe that was deliberate. They're like, see, this is what you're missing. They're like, oh, never mind then.
E.T.
They picked
Lean on Me.
The Emoji Movie.
They could do so many things.
The Emoji Movie. So there you go. That's inspiring.
Restaurant here in Utah is being run.
This is inspiring. Okay, think about having to start over in everything. Maybe you were a doctor or a noted scientist or a researcher or a college professor in your country, and then you emigrated to America, and you're nothing.
What do you mean you're nothing?
You start all over again. You don't have anything. Kiki Sharma came here, but when she first came here, she had no English, she had no language skills, and she and her family had emigrated from Nepal, and it was an enormous challenge. Her father had been very well educated, his family was pretty affluent, but it was important for them to leave. And they came here, and she says, it's very sad, she said, we've all gone by nicknames, like especially my father who has 4 names, and he says, like, nobody can pronounce any of them. So we just kind of gave up. But they said, so what do we want to do? And they came here 7 years ago, and they had been there was a religious war in Bhutan, and so they came here and they'd been in a refugee camp over in Europe for quite a while, and they were able to, as a matter of fact, their little brother was born in the refugee camp, and finally their father got permission to come to the United States, and they came here and they went, okay, what are we going to do? What can we do? What's possible for us?
So what did they do?
So her mom started working for Deseret Industries and was making clothes because that was the first thing they could get. Her father was searching. At first he was doing like custodial work. It's basically anything you can do. Right. And then he started doing catering work because people realized he was an amazing cook, and so they got started that. And then they said, my ambition is we should own a restaurant. We should start a restaurant.
This is such a huge step in 3/4 of the restaurants die in the first year.
Oh, yeah.
In the first year.
But this was their dream. This is the thing they wanted. Now, there's a wonderful new group called the Spice Kitchen Incubator. It's a local group that helps people like them create a business plan, find funding, so basically walks them through the steps so that they're not making mistakes since they know what they can do. And they said, it's interesting, with the Spice Kitchen group, they said we find a lot of immigrants come to the United States with amazing talents and cool skills, but they just don't know how to transfer them into something that can carry over. So what they did is they went through this work, and they worked with the Sharmas, and then a building became available in Sandy, and they jumped on it. And it's the Bhutan House Restaurant. It's been open since August. They serve Indian, Nepali, and Bhutanese cuisine. And it's amazing. Kiki, for instance, says, I'm a waitress, I serve, I do cashier. I'm
Everything.
Always here. She said 24/7, opening to closing. But she said
she smells like Indian food.
But she says for everybody, they said, this is everything we wanted. This is everything we dreamt of. But so for these people, working 18-hour days is worth it to them. So I just on principle, I think you and I need to go over and eat there and support them, because I think that's amazing.
You know, with the current atmosphere and all the stuff that's going on, we've been talking a lot about our family and where we came from. And we came from Scotland. My family came from Scotland, and my grandfather came with 7 brothers and sisters, and they came across, and he was the youngest. And they left because work was so rare, and so the dad, I can't believe
so
this.
hard to find.
And he brought aunts and uncles with him all at once. They just came.
The whole family immigrated.
And I think they had someone here, they must have, and I don't know the history on it, who set them up. It's like, okay, here's a place to live. That's good. And you've got some money, so we shop here. And then we do this, and here are the schools. And my grandfather adapted to English and to the accent rather quickly because he was young. But I had aunts.
You would think that you're speaking English, but no, you have no idea what.
I was a little kid.
What they're saying.
I was a little kid, and I remember not understanding one word to my aunts and uncles because their brogue was so thick, and I was just like, "Why do people talk different?"
But it was cool because every one of your uncles did a different craft. One was a carpenter, one was plumbing, one did electrical. I mean,
right. They all built each other's houses.
And Grandpa Nelson was amazing because he actually created some of the original heating elements on the first NASA spacesuit.
You know, when
that's how cool he was.
They put it out in public, and you know, people in normal businesses could actually make a part of NASA's space missions, which was really cool.
But it was also interesting because nobody had the original, had the full schematics. It also protected, you know, the security.
Right, but he did it out of a 6-person shop that he owned, that they were making metal parts and engineering pieces. And anyway, so we've really been talking about that, and I cannot imagine us picking up our family, maybe your mom,
all of the aunties, all of the
picking
uncles,
them up,
the cousins,
and going to Poland. You go to Poland.
Can we pick New Zealand? I really want
I'd
to
say
go to
Norway, but then that starts a whole can of worms.
At least I speak Norwegian. I could help us there.
You go someplace and all of a sudden just start over. New language.
Anything you had as a reputation, anything that people valued you for in your original country is gone now, and you have to prove yourself all over again.
And now you wonder why in certain cities like Miami there's little Cuba. And then there's the North End in Boston with the Italians. And then all of a sudden it starts making more sense. The Russians in New York have a whole area. And they go there and they take care of each other and get them into the mainstream and have them do their stuff. Because I don't think just coming here on your own would be so scary.
I have a friend, Marina, whose family came here from Russia. And this was the truth. Her mom was a medical researcher and her dad was a doctor. And they left because the Cold War and how terrifying it was, and they were able to come here. And but she said, her father started by mopping the hallways of the hospital where he should have been practicing medicine.
Right.
But he did it because he's like, I'll do anything. We have to get started. We have to start somehow, and they did. But so you think about the humility and the humbling of having to start all over again. That whatever you thought we were value is gone, and I think that has to change. That we recognize the value of refugees and how important they are and what they bring to the culture.
I want to bring you a story.
Oh, by the way, so once again, the name of the restaurant, if you want to support them, the Bhutan House Restaurant, and it's in Sandy. Indian, Nepali, and Bhutanese cuisine.
This story comes from the Oklahoma game warden and the Division of Fish and Wildlife. And if you drove up on what we were about to see, you would think the worst thing. You would think the worst thing. So it's a warden and an elk. And
elk's all tangled up in a wire fence.
In a wire fence. So let's look.
Terrorized.
Watch.
Bubs.
You were
Looky
thinking
there,
the worst
Bubs.
thing, weren't you?
Like a boss.
You were thinking the worst thing.
Because the elk's terrorized, so if you try to go and get him out, he'll either kick you to death or he'll like snap his own neck.
When the elk flinched, you were thinking that's because he got hit by a bullet, and he didn't. And by the way, that was what?
That is
what
marksmanship.
Is that, a 20-foot, 15-foot shot? 20-foot shot?
And he shot a wire.
And I got to tell you.
You look how it's attached. It's literally like a thin wire. That's amazing.
And a pistol shot. That's amazing.
Like a boss.
Like a boss. Cool.
Can you believe that?
Still looks like he shot that thing.
I'm really glad they did the final shot of look. The elk is going away now, happy because he's not attached.
An SUV filled with children doing this.
That is an amazing shot. It really is.
You guys have a great day. We're going to see you tomorrow right here on the Todd and Erin data thing with that on .com.
The thing.
The thing. See you.
Okay, it's the thing.
Looky there, Bubs. Looky there, Bubs.